not see it, if you didn't miss it, it is a book based on Maleficent. It is like told from her side of the story. Now, I don't know if this is official. It does say copyright 2018 Disney Enterprises, so I believe it's from Disney, but it's like completely, like, everything's all over the place. Anyway, if you know from the first episode, if you did watch it, that things are different a little bit, like they're involved in each other's stories, all the kind of villains and stuff like that. But I thought I would read chapters 2 and 3, no promises, because 2 might be a bit long. I haven't really checked, but I feel like 2 and 3 could be kind of cute to just read, because I read the prologue and chapter 1 the last time. The prologue and then chapter 1 the last time. I think it could be kind of interesting to read that. So let me know if you're enjoying this book, or you would like me to just dump it, because that could be fine too. Let me find my place. Where's chapter 2? So where we finished off, if you do not remember, was Maleficent was going to see like Ursula's grave or something. I'm not sure. There was something about like Ursula dead or whatever. We'll figure it out as we go along. Anyway, chapter 2, Requiem. 2 witches, divergent in age and in schools of magic, though with very similar hearts and sensibilities, stood on the windy cliffs near Morningstar Castle. The sea bubbled with putrid black foam, and the sky was filled with a thick, deep purple smoke that obscured the daylight, and enrushed Morningstar Kingdom in a veil of darkness. Everywhere Circle looked, she saw manifestations of Ursula that had exploded onto her surroundings. It was sickening to behold. The destruction blackened the shores and saddened the witches' hearts. Circle would have... I'm just realizing her name is Circe. Sorry. Circe would have used her magic to bring life and growth back to the kingdom, but she couldn't bring herself to face that task. Not just yet. She knew that in doing so, she would be obliterating what remained of her old friend Ursula. An old friend who ripped your soul from your body, turning you into a husk, yours and your countless other souls, Nanny reminded her, reading her thoughts. Circe just smiled weakly, knowing Nanny was right, but she saw that Ursula, the one who had betrayed her, as someone quite different from the one she'd known as a girl. Ursula had a wild, charismatic character. She had been Circe's sister's dearest friend, and like an aunt to Circe, a great witch who had brought Circe baubles and had told her stories of the sea. This creature, the thing she'd become, wasn't the Ursula Circe loved. Ursula had become someone else, someone consumed by grief, anger, and the desire for power. A woman who had been driven to the depths of despair by a brother who loathed her. Circe remembered going to Ursula that day. She remembered thinking someone else. No, something else was looking for her from behind Ursula's eyes. It was chilling to remember. Circe had felt like running from her that day, but she had told herself it was all her imagination. She reminded herself that she'd always trusted Ursula. She never imagined Ursula would harm her, but if Circe was really honest with herself, there was no way she could ever deny that the creature inhabiting her old friend that day had meant to hurt her. Circe just didn't want to see it then. She denied her fear, pushed it aside, and willed herself to see the woman she loved. And that was how she allowed herself to be captured by the dreaded sea witch, how Ursula had been able to use her as a pawn to manipulate her sisters. The woman she loved had betrayed her. No, Ursula betrayed herself. And now she was dead, rendered to nothing more than smoke, sludge, and ash. She was beyond Circe's help now. Still, Circe tortured herself with questions. Why hadn't Ursula come to her in honesty? Why hadn't she told Circe the whole story? The story she had told Circe's sisters. Circe would have helped Ursula destroy the Triton without the need to involve his youngest daughter. None of it made any sense. Ursula must have known that Circe had the power to destroy Triton, but she also knew Circe would never endanger the life of Ariel. Damn Triton for the damage he did to his sister. Damn him to Hades for his complicity. Damn him for making Ursula hide who she truly was. Damn him for turning her into a loathsome creature by his own design. It was taking everything she had not to cast curses at the King Triton. She wanted to tell him that when he touched Ursula's necklace, she'd seen everything Ursula had ever experienced. The causes of all her rage, sorrow, and pain. Circe had heard every foul word, witnessed every hateful deed Ursula had endured from Triton. It had ripped at Circe's heart, as it surely must have done to Ursula. Maybe one day Circe would just throw Titan's words back at him. But she wouldn't do it now. Not while her hate for him was still strong in her heart. The pain was too fresh. And then something quite sad occurred to Circe. Family was capable of causing more harm than anyone. Family was true heartbreak. They could rip at your heart like nobody else. They could destroy your spirit and leave you alone in the tangled depths of despair. Family could ruin you. More than love might. More than anything in the world. And surely more than even the dearest of friends could. Family could hold its power over you. Circe knew all that too well. What it was like to have her heart broken by family. She had her own troublesome sisters. The odd sisters. They could scream a house down with their rage and tantrums, but her sisters loved her ferociously, far too well. She never worried on that account. She knew that their love had always been there, no matter what befell them. Now, her sisters were trapped in a sleeping death, all because she'd left them and had allowed herself to be tricked by a sea witch. All because she'd been angry with them for loving her too much. They loved her so much that they would have destroyed anything or anyone who did anything to protect her. And how she had repaid them. She condemned them for haunting the beast. She screamed at them for putting Tulip's life in danger. They'd been responsible for so many deaths and transgressions. Circe was sure she didn't even know anything about them. But none of those things seemed to matter now. Under the glass of the dome of the morning star solarium, their eyes were wide open. As hard as Circe had tried, she could not close them. Did her sisters know what had happened to them? Did they remember battling Ursula's spell to save their little sister? Did they remember fighting their own spell, so embedded with hatred that it took the strength to break? They looked haunted to Circe. As they stared into nothingness, no magic would give her sisters the appearance of peacefulness. It seemed, even in their sleep, they were being punished, praying for every act of wickedness they'd ever done, and committed for their part in Ursula's demise. Circe wondered if her sisters could see what remained of Ursula staining the glass dome and billowing overhead, thick, black, and putrid. Did they feel Ursula's hate emanating from every surface of the kingdom? Was Circe prolonging her sister's torture by not cleansing Morningstar? It was time to move on, to rid the castle of Ursula's remains, but how? Where would Circe's magic send them? What was the protocol when the witch's Ursula's caliber died? What were the words? Circe had spun with questions. How do you honor a witch who betrayed you? We put her to rest, Nanny said gently, wrapping her arm around Circe's shoulder. And we cleanse the land. Come, my sweet one, I'll help you. Okay, chapter 3, The Great Sea Queen. The lighthouse of the gods shone magnificently in the brilliant sunlight. As the witches stood silently in honor of the sea witch, pink, purple, and golden blossoms showered down onto the crowd, assembled to mourn the passing of a great terrible queen. Nanny had put Ursula's remains in a ship constructed of delicate golden straw, adorned with beautiful seashells glittering white with sand. The The ship sparkled in the sunlight and was reflected beautifully by the rippling water. The waves glittered with golden straw that had been mingling with the blossoms in the water. Circe nudged the ship gently, sending Ursula farther into the waves. "Goodbye, Great One," she said softly. Ursula looked peaceful, and Circe was thankful to Nani for bringing Ursula's remains together so they could both honor her. It was a proper tribute that befitted the Queen of the Sea. Circe knew if Triton had given her the rightful place by his side as ruler, she would still be alive, and that's what hurt Circe's heart the most. Circe held Nani's hand tightly as they said goodbye. It tugged at Circe's heart to let her friend go, but she was thankful she had Nani, Princess Tulip and Prince Popinjay by her side. They all looked pensive as they took in the magnitude of the great loss, and it was unnoticed by anyone else, but Circe saw Popinjay had taken Tulip's little hand in his. He squeezed it gently, as if to remind Tulip that he was there for her if he needed him. Circe smiled, because she knew the beautiful princess could meet any challenge that came her way without Popinjay's help. Nevertheless, Circe was happy he was there for Tulip. Triton was not in attendance. He had been warned that he was not welcome, so Circe was surprised to see the merfolk from Triton's kingdom had come to pay their respects. She had to wonder if Triton had declared his complicity to his people, and if that's why some of them seemed to be truly mourning Ursula's passing. Did some of them have pity for Ursula, or at least understand her motives? Perhaps they were simply there to see with their own eyes that the sea witch was no longer a threat. Circe didn't know. One of the mermaids from Triton's court swam up to Circe and Nani. She was pretty, with a small pointed crown made of delicate coral. Her voice had a familiar ring to it. "Hello, my name is Athena," the young mermaid said. "I'm Triton's eldest daughter. He sent me here to see that his sister was given a proper funeral." She looked at the witches, who were staring blankly back at her. Out of nervousness, she kept talking. I hope you don't mind my sisters and I being here." And he looked at the group of mermaids, all of them looking in their direction, worried expressions on their face. "If you are here to honor her, dear, then you are more than welcome." Circe looked at Athena suspiciously. "I'm surprised you're here after everything Ursula did to your little sister." Athena smiled, but her eyes were sad. "And I'm surprised you'd honor her so graciously after she nearly destroyed you." Circe could sense the young woman was conflicted. The mermaid was torn between her loyalty to her little sister Ariel and her obligation to the woman she had known for her was her aunt. "I'm here for my father and for Ursula, for the woman she could have been, and my father had not ruined her a good chance," Athena added. Her answer was good enough for Circe. "You are welcome here, then, Athena. Tell your father we gave Ursula a funeral fit for a queen. That's who she was, and that's who she'll always be. Queen of the Sea." The mermaid swam back into her sisters together, and they all watched the procession of the ship's escort, Ursula's exquisitely constructed ship of golden straw, go further out into the sea. Fireworks shot from the ships, casting golden lights into the sky. Beneath them, Ursula's ship was taken by the tides, the fine straw dispersing and releasing her remains into the sea, where she would rest forever in tranquility. Circe took a deep breath, and then exhaled slowly. Her friend was finally at peace. For a moment, Circe felt at ease. She was experiencing one of those perfect moments in time, where everything was beautiful, even the heartbreak, and she wished that she could live in this moment for just a little longer, but the present was quickly becoming the past as she heard Nanny gasp next to her. In the distance, the witches saw a large mass. It looked like a living forest entangled in thorny vines, climbing and twisting its way towards the rocky cliffs beyond Morningstar Castle. And with it came a looming darkness that harbored everything around it. Soaring above the darkness, though, a turbulent cloud streaked with swirls of green light where Maleficent's crows, the very portents of evil. Cersei knew she could feel the fearsome forest energy with her magic. She knew that the forest was not coming to destroy them. It was coming to protect Morningstar from the Dark Fairy. And that is it. That is chapter 2 all done. Chapter 3. We finished chapter 2 and chapter 3 in this video. So I would like to leave it there. And thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're sticking with the story. I'm finding it personally a little hard to follow along, but I'm in for the ride. And if you are, let me know and I will keep doing it. If not, that's okay with me because again, as I said, finding it very confusing so far. Anyway, thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for watching. If you got to this point, I really, really appreciate you. And I will see you next time. Bye bye, bye bye, bye bye. That was really bad finger fluttering, by the way.